Gangapur. So let us today do what is Guru Gita all about. Note, in some versions of Guru Gita, it is said that Guru Nanak relates the Guru Gita to the disciples in this chapter. The Guru Very good morning. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining Shri Guru Charitra Satsang. Wishing you all a very happy Friday. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Guru Charitra Satsang. The Guru Gita is from the Skanda Purana. It was said to have been narrated to Mother Parvati by Lord Shiva. When Mother Parvati entreated him to enlighten her about the path by treading which the jiva can attain enlightenment and liberation. The Lord then narrated to her the Guru Gita, which says, it is by devoted service at the lotus feet of the Guru alone that one gets cleansed of all sins and ultimately attains the supreme. What is the path to attain the divine? I'm going to reread this once again. It is by devoted service at the lotus feet of the Guru alone that one gets cleansed of all sins and ultimately attains the supreme. There is no other way for attaining your spiritual will except by devoted service, except by seva unto the lotus feet of your Gurudev. And please remember, if you ever have the opportunity and the privilege to serve this great master, to serve this great being, you have earned great merit, because you know why? The only way for removing all the sins from your life is by devoted service. You know, unfortunately, we today don't understand the significance of the greatness of what it means to have a guru, number one. Second is that even after having, we don't pay attention or care to heed to listen to him, his instructions. See, the last few chapters in Guru Charitra is about having absolute faith and single-pointed devotion, and next very important aspect is to follow the instructions of your Gurudev to the T. And if you fail to do so, then like my Krishna Guruji says, it is your funeral and not mine. Please remember. But the sad part, you know what? If we go against his will, though we are anyways going to suffer, but unfortunately, because our Gurudev has initiated us, he is the one who's going to take the brunt of it. And this is what we are into. And today, despite him telling not to do certain things, we exactly do what he's telling not to do. And then what? Like I keep saying this, we will only live in regret. See, the gurus can only take so much. He's a divine master, no two ways about it. He's a Parabrahma. Guru himself is a Parabrahma. It doesn't matter to him. See, he doesn't have to physically also take on. There are different methods. But ultimately, his body can only handle so much. When we go against the Guru, after he has initiated us, please remember, all the karma that we perform comes to him, because he's taken charge of our spiritual development. And beyond a point, he can only handle so much. So what happens? The Guru, the body has to leave. The body cannot handle. And then what will we live in? Regret all our life? No, today's day and age, everybody's lost in their own, fancies, whims and fancies, fulfilling their lusty desires, their greed, whatever they wish to achieve in their life, whether it means to having a corporate job, whether it is wanting to do something. We don't pay heed to listen to the Guru. Why? Because our ego comes in. We want to live the way we want to live. We say, this is the way. We believe my way is highway. And then what happens? See, at the end of the day, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Shri Krishna has said something very beautiful. He says to Arjuna, given to your mind's self-conceit and deceit, if you fail to, not listen to me, if you fail not listen to me, and given to your vain egotism, please remember, my Maya is going to make you perforce perform the same action born of your nature. And as though mounted on a machine, what is he going to do? You are still going to perform the same action which the divine Lord has already predefined for you. But at that time, the time is anyway gone past. See, because you need to understand, Lord himself is time as well. I am the mighty Kala, says Lord Shri Krishna. I am the very essence of the time. The time is already gone past because you have not performed that action. And then what happens? Then, whether you like it or not, you're still going to end up doing the same action born of your nature, as though mounted on a machine. You're going to perforce perform the same action. But at that time, the karma, what will happen to you? You will incur karma. It will not be sinless. There will be karma associated with that. Why do you want that to happen? This is exactly what Lord Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna. The Arjunas in this world are you and me. We have to listen. See, everybody is not having a guru in their life. Those who have the guru, those who have the privilege of learning under the tutelage of their Gurudev, you need to listen. And one thing that we fail to do is listening to this guru. Like my Krishna Guruji will say, I need that one student who will exactly do what I want to do. And today I don't have this. Many a time he'll say, you need to do this, you cannot get angry, you cannot do this. He's giving lot of instructions. See, Gurudev, to each his own. And please remember this, what you have to learn, you will learn. What I have to learn, I will learn. But the whole point of this lesson here, which Lord Dattatreya is imparting, is that we need to listen to the Guru. We need to have absolute faith in his words, and we should never doubt him. Most important, we need to have single-pointed devotion. My Krishna Guruji will say, where is the single-pointed devotion? Somebody is devoted to their family, husband, wife, marriage, and then what? Job. Job is another big attachment. That's another big marriage in your life. We are all attached to all of these things. So where is the question of single-pointed devotion that comes? But with whatever grace that we have, and when we have the privilege to evolve on the path of spirituality by learning under him and doing exactly what he ordains us to do, we will redeem ourselves. But that is an effort that you have to make. Nobody can give it to you from outside. The Guru can only teach you. The Guru can only show you the path. The Guru can handhold you and walk you through that. But walking you must do. Like drinking the water, you will have to do. He can't drink it for you. So the journey is yours. He is only going to handhold you and walk that path. He is going to say, here are the pitfalls. Don't go in that direction. His instructions are very clear. But what happens if you don't pay attention or heed to listen to him? Then you're going to go and fall in the gutters and then perform so much more karma, which you're not going to understand. You don't even know what you're getting into. And then who's going to suffer for you? It is him who's going to suffer for you. And then what happens? Everybody is going to live in regret for the rest of their life. Because that great master would be gone, dead and gone. The body is gone away. Then what happens to the divinity, that which we stand for? Nobody pays importance to him. This is how we are, very self-centered, selfish human beings. So we have to overcome this. Pay respect to this great master. Revere him. Bow down to him. And do seva unto the lotus feet. That is when we will be able to attain our spiritual weal. So coming back. It is by devoted service at the feet of the Guru alone that one gets cleansed of all sins and ultimately attains the Supreme. The Guru Gita emphasized that without the helping hand of the Guru, one can never hope to reach the goal. No one can attain God realization. There is no way out. People think just by going and worshipping in this world that they can realize God. Oh, they have God with them. They have attained God. What they don't seem to understand is the importance of the Guru. And also, most importantly, please remember, the Gurus only have a chosen ones, a handful of them. Because he's not here to change the whole world. He's only here to change those few who he has initiated and taken responsibility of. And then what? Those people are to live the lessons because they had the privilege to be with the Gurudev, not the rest of the world. So my Krishna Guruji will always say, I don't care about how the other people behave. It is about how you behave matters. You know why? I have taught you. I have not taught the world. That is very true. So those who have the privilege to learn under the Guruji, it becomes their prerogative and responsibility to learn this lesson and to live the lesson. And if you fail to do so, you know the repercussions, what is going to happen. And that is left to you. And Maya will take charge. Destiny will come into play. And please remember, your Guru's protection can only, hold you for certain amount in time. Beyond a point, it cannot. Because you are, like my Guruji will say, You don't know the prakop of my Maya and destiny. You have not seen it. Don't challenge destiny by your self conceit and deceit. The moment you challenge destiny, you are going to go in the gutters. Please remember. The Guru Gita emphasized that without the helping hand of the Guru, one can never hope to reach the goal. The Guru indeed is the way to reach the goal. He is indeed the link between man and God, between Jiva and Brahman. Unless the Guru transmits his own soul impulses to the disciple, the latter will not gain spiritual wisdom. What is very importantly said here? Unless the Guru transmits his own soul impulses to the disciple, the latter will not gain spiritual wisdom. How profound is that? See, the the Guru has to do a lot of things. And how does he transmit this knowledge? Unless the Guru transmits his own soul impulses, still he doesn't transmit it. You cannot gain the spiritual wisdom. It is not so easy. So what does the Guru do? He first purifies the vessel. He has to clean the vessel thoroughly. There cannot be even one dot of muck in that vessel. So the purification process itself a very long one and tedious. It is an ongoing process. The process of purification is always going to be there. And once you get purified, the knowledge shines from within. Why? Because the transmission happens to the Guru. He's the one who transmits the spiritual wisdom within you. So for which your heart has to be purified, your mind has to be purified, and most important, surrender to the will of your Gurudev has to happen. That 100% and the complete surrender doesn't happen, no spiritual knowledge will ever shine forth upon you. Please remember. The Guru Gita advocates that the keys to the doors of the mansion of wisdom remain only with the Guru. And see, most important, the Guru tests you to see whether you are the one eligible for this knowledge, that spiritual wisdom. See, because knowledge in the wrong hands also can lead to disadvantage, because you can use that knowledge for either rising above or for falling down, for either positive purposes or negative purposes. So both, like we say, this body has both the godliness and the evilness within us. Who do you want to be is the choice that you have. So what does the Guru teach actually? He teaches you to be your good self, and being your good self is though very easy, but to act that way, it sometimes feels it's very difficult. You know why? Because we are looking at the world, we are looking at things around us, the objects around us, and trying to color it with our own mind. We are painting it different colors, red, green, yellow, blue, all the colors we are giving. And what is happening? We get tainted in our mind because we're judgmental. We look at an object and see all the flaws in that object. That is why my Krishna Guruji will teach us, saying, please see the goodness in that object. What is the goodness? That is what you have to see. Don't look at the shortcomings of that person or anybody or that object or the nature which that object is demonstrating. Don't go by that nature. And there's a very profound lesson which my Guruji will do in Uddhav Gita, where Lord Shri Krishna has said that you cannot look at a person's nature and criticize. Whether you say good things or you criticize, then both is not correct. We are not here to criticize or even praise. You cannot do both. Don't praise a person or don't even criticize. You just have to let it be. And that is why my Krishna Guruji will say, sometimes we'll say, oh, he's a very good person, she's a very good person. And when the same person backstabs you, where is that good thoughts and feelings you had about the person? It dies. So where is the question of good and bad? Then what was good became bad, and what is bad becomes good. So it's always a pairs of opposite. So why should we sway? We are not here to sway. On the contrary, the reason for why we have to see good in everyone is because that is how we can attain God realization. We need to see God in everybody. And God is who? He is only godliness. He is goodliness. There is nothing negative in the God. God is everything. See, this entire creation has emanated from Him alone. So where is the question of right and wrong, good and bad, happy, beautiful and ugly? No, everything is the creation of this divine Lord Almighty. Everything is beautiful. But they say, right, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. How do you see? With what color glasses you see them, that is how it will appear to you. So my Krishna Guruji teaches continuously for us to change the glass we are wearing. And what is that glass called? Being your good self. Can you see good alone in this world? Sometimes we are not able to see. Yesterday, I was watching some documentary which may disturb me quite a bit. It's, we say we are defining the policies, we are coming up with regulation which is for the welfare of the people. No, it is not for the welfare of the people. It is only a welfare of certain beneficiaries in this world, who are the corporate, bureaucrats, government, and different people at that higher self. And that is why there is a huge disparity in the way how the income is distributed today. The reason why there is high inequality is because of this. See, and who's the one who's the root cause? We the people, because we have never stood up and fought for our rights. We've never made an effort to do something about it. We all want to hide and chicken out. Sorry to say this word, but means we are very weak people. We don't want to question the system, question the authority. We want to succumb to all of this. And what happens to the educated ones, the educated people? We are also fools. Like my Guruji will say, and everybody, it is mentioned, we are all educated fools who just blindly follow what is given to us without questioning. And that is why in spirituality also, my Krishna Guruji will say, you have to question first. Who is God? Why? How do I attain God? Why should I worship in a certain manner? How do I pray? What is the reason behind worshipping in certain manner? There's a very beautiful chapter which my Krishna Guruji recently did. How do you worship Lord Shri Krishna? How do you be devoted to him? There's a very profound chapter. It's last Thursday evening. You have to go listen to the satsang. And in that, Lord Shri Krishna has instructed very clearly, how do you offer worship to him? How does devotional service be done to Lord Shri Krishna? How do we perform all of that? So it is detailed out in such profound manner. And people with half-baked knowledge or zero knowledge try and question all of this. First, that is why my Guruji will say, first you need to question the right things. Question not because you want to try to provoke and spite somebody. No. Question because you genuinely want to know. You want to understand why it is done in a certain manner. See, remember, there is a method. If Lord Shri Krishna is prescribed in the scripture, you think that method is wrong? Because people come with different ideas and try to question and judge another person. Please remember, you are nobody to judge anyone. If you don't believe in, you can stay out of it, but don't try to question somebody who believes in it. Remember, at the end of the day, it is that individual's faith, and that is what Lord Shri Krishna has beautifully described, how profound it is to offer and do the devotional service in a specific manner. Remember, if you're eating food, you want it taste in a certain manner, right? Similarly, when you worship the divine Lord, you have to also put in your heart and soul to do everything in the same manner. If you're going and buying garments for you, are you not so much particular? I have to get the best. I have to look beautiful in it. It has to be the best color. I like this color. Aren't you not spending so much of time? And if you're going to make food for you, are you not titillating your senses, your palate? Oh, I like this, it has to taste like this, I want to eat it in this manner, I will eat it with the particular sauce. This is how we talk about what happens when you have to make a naivedya to Lord. Oh, we will go and buy one cheap peda from the from the shop. Why? Because we don't want to put efforts, but we will go with a big ask, one huge bottomless pit bowl. Will go and ask from the Lord. You'll buy 100 rupees peda and you want some $100 million. This is how human nature is. Is that how it is? So please listen to my Guruji's satsang, and in that he has very nicely explained how do you offer the devotional service, and these are the words of Lord Shri Krishna himself. So don't try to question somebody else without even having a knowledge. So what does my Guruji say? You need to question first. You need to learn and understand. Don't try to open your mouth with a petty knowledge and people come and talk. When my Guruji is talking, they will want to immediately say something. Otherwise, they cannot end the thing because they think they know too much than my Guruji. This is what happens. We always want to say, I know. Oh, yes, I know this. But do we even have a knowledge? Even today, I feel when I'm learning something, I ask my Gurudev, is it that I didn't study properly, that I really didn't get educated? Because my way of education was, what I was educated into is, believing that we have to study hard. You have to always get a first rank. Why? Because you have to be a topper in your school. You have to be topper in your college so that you can get a good, you can get a very good job. Then you can marry a nice guy. This is how I was brought up. That is how my parents were brought up. So who is wrong? The wrong is because none of these people bothered to learn, and they also put their children in the same way. If you look at India, in Indian parents at least, they're always focused on these ranks, certificates, accolades, all those things. But what they're not understanding the truth. Sorry. Sorry for that. But what they're not understanding is they need to focus on educating their children, giving them the right knowledge. How will they do it? Only if they have. They themselves have not made an effort, and they are also pushing their children also in the same direction. So today, you are the future of this world. There are a lot of children today, the millennials and many others, who are the ones who are going to matter in this world. So we all have to get educated. This is exactly what my Krishna Guruji does. He gives us knowledge. And when you understand all this education system, this grading system has no value. The only reason it carries a weightage and a value is because if you want to get into some Harvards of this world, IITs of this world, IIMs of the world, then it matters. And then what? You want to go and join the top companies, you want to make your $1,000,000, then it matters. But please remember, real knowledge is it is sought. You have to put effort to gain that knowledge. It doesn't come like that. And you have to go and learn, continuously keep learning. So today, I feel when I'm learning certain things and this knowledge is opening, I ask my Krishna Guruji, have I not made an effort because I've just followed the bookish knowledge, or I've been only told to, get a first rank, I have to study. So what I would do, rote learning. That is what we have done. We have never understood the subject in the way we have to understand. You just mug up everything, you go and vomit in your exam and get whatever the first class, the percentage you want to achieve. But where is that understanding of the subject? Why is it been given? Have we even questioned our teachers? No, we have never. We blindly accepted what has been given to us. That is what the gurus remove. The material worldly imperfection is what the guru removes. And you have to question. And who is the only one who can give you that real knowledge? The guru. Guru is the doorway to God. Guru is that knowledge incarnate. He is the Sachidanand. So we need to serve him and seek that knowledge. And he's the only one who knows what to give you. What knowledge has to come to you, he will impart. It is not so easy. And please, you are nobody to demand. You can ask whatever you feel like. At the end of the day, he's the father, he's the mother. He knows what is good for his children, and that alone he will impart. Nothing more, nothing less. So no matter how much you can ask, but he's going to see what is your effort and what is that he will be able to give it to you, so that you are able to handle that knowledge. Even today, I feel it's amazing. Yeah, though I've taken a long time to learn, but I have understood one truth. The knowledge opens when you're ready to receive it. It is not that when you think you want it. What is more important? The purification of mind should have happened. So your understanding and perspective to life changes. You will start realizing the truth, and then how you look at it, this world will completely change. And when you slowly evolve, then the knowledge will start coming to you at the right moment. So who has to put the effort? You have to put the effort to learn the right knowledge. And when you have this great divine master, please learn from him. Don't waste his time, because remember, he is there to give. But if you are wasting your time by getting into your mind, the mind stories, the mind imaginations, whatever your mind is going to throw, and you're going to fall prey to that, then you can't progress in this world. So what is very important to do is controlling your mind. This is what my Guruji also teach. Nobody can overcome the mind. Let us be very honest about it. But what you can do, like Lord Shri Krishna has mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, that it is my conviction that you can control your mind. So controlling the mind is supposed to happen. How do you control? When when you see something red, when you know an object is now going to give you that anger or trigger that anger in you, you need to control it with extraordinary effort. And that is the effort you have to show at that moment in time. And if you're not able to, you know that you have a long way to go in controlling your mind. See, my Guruji will say only one thing. The world can behave however they want. They are allowed. They can go in the gutters also. But it is not for us to judge, and it is not for us to behave in a bad manner with anybody. We have to be our good self. Let the person do. And this is the lesson he's going to impart next in Uddhav Gita, where Lord Shri Krishna very clearly says, do not judge anybody, because they're all, going to be falling for their nature. Every action they performed is going to be based on their nature. And that nature is going to drive them to do that. So don't, there's no point in judging them for their actions, whether it is a right action or wrong action. So there is no action is right or wrong. And don't criticize them or don't even praise them. Both you cannot do. And those who have to attain Lord Shri Krishna, those who, if you choose to attain him, then you cannot do. That is the only criteria for attaining Lord Shri Krishna. Rather, there are different criterias, but with this forms the basis where you are not allowed to speak anything bad about anybody or say anything to anyone. That becomes the foundation. You know why? That is the only way will you be able to be your good self, and most importantly, you will be able to see God in everybody. Please remember, at the end of the day, you have to see God in everyone. God realization is that you understand that the divine, first you realize the divine Lord within yourself, and then you see this entire universe in the divine Lord, which means you'll understand that everybody in this universe, there is God in them. So that is what the truth you need to realize, and that's very tough one, but you have to strive hard. You have to practice. So let us continue. The Guru Gita advocates that the keys to the door of the mansion of wisdom remains only with the Guru alone. It also describes the characteristics of a Guru. What does it does? See, like I told you, the Guru Charitra, the scripture describes who is this great master, what is his nature, what are his characteristics, how do we recognize this great master and divine being. He's always going to be incognito, invisible, with this, that fallible human appearance, very long. Appear as an ordinary human being. He's never going to show you who he is. Many a time I get extremely upset and disturbed when people treat my Gurudev as a very ordinary human being and talk whatever comes to their mind. But yesterday also my Krishna Guruji was giving the same lesson, saying that doesn't matter. They are all ignorant beings. They are going to be that. I don't have to prove to anyone who I am. I am not interested in doing miracles. I am not interested in performing anything for others just because some people want to, acknowledge me. Who should acknowledge a divine master? Who is the one who cares about that? Oh, somebody has to recognize me. They have to tell me who I am. No, my Guruji doesn't even care. He doesn't even want to be acknowledged. That is who he is. He lives incognito. He's always invincible. Though he will be sitting in front of you, but you cannot even make out who he is. That is the Maya he'll put in front of us by his ordinary human appearance. How profound is that? But a divine master, a great God Almighty is sitting in front of you, and you speak, do, however, behave in any which way you want. It's very sad. Recently, my Guruji had posted a very profound update on Facebook, and in that my Guru was telling, it is very rare to get an opportunity to be with great master. But you know what? You will treat him in a bad manner, you will disrespect him, you will do all sorts of nonsensical stuff, and then what happens? That, you're only destroying that association of him. He will disappear after some time. You're not even going to meet him ever again, and you don't even know after how many lifetimes you will be able to meet him, and how many births you have to take to meet him, in what life, when. You're never even going to know when you can have a darshan of him. Why do we destroy that opportunity that is given to us just because we give in to our mind egoistic nature and mind's the deceit and self-conceit? Why do we fall for our mind that we don't understand and value what we have? Everybody thinks attending a Guru Purnima, that is, the prayers of the Guru, is a big deal, it's a pain. They think they have to put a lot of effort to be there for Guru Purnima. People don't understand what is the significance of a Guru Purnima. Here Lord Shivji also is teaching Parvati. What is Guru Gita all about? Why the Guru is such a great being? The entire Guru Charitra is narrating this. Why does Guru Purnima came in existence? You need to go and read about it. There is a very profound reason how it came about. You have to go even learn about all these things. So today we don't care about anything. We are losing that, our culture, our Sanskriti, our tradition, everything. It is going out of the window. And what are we driven for? Lust and greed. This is what we are driven. We are completely driven by that. Maya is ruling our world. And what are we falling prey to? The lust in our life, the greed in our life, that is exactly what we are falling prey to. So where is the goodness? Like my Krishna Guruji was saying that day, Sattva is not even there in this world today. We have become very mean people. We have become intolerant. How do you do good? The only way to do good in this universe is by being our good self. Good self means, like my Krishna Guruji will say, everybody has their human nature. Let us not look at the negative aspects of a human being. We only have to look at the positive things that the human being has and how good they are in their heart, how good they are in their job. That is what we have to look. And when we look at that, then we don't look at other things. And then we serve Lord Shri Krishna. And then we are very good in doing our service to the Divine Lord Almighty. That is the only way to attain God realization. So coming back, it is also described the characteristics of the Guru. Unless one is fully enlightened and had intuited the truth himself, he is not entitled to be a Guru. The Guru Gita also tells us how one should approach the Guru. One should approach the Guru with great humility, with full and unwavering faith, Shraddha, and with a burning yearning to attain liberation. No, burning yearning to attain liberation, that is so hardly there in any way. The only reason why people first come is they are going to get something. Please remember, everybody comes to a guru because they want their material worldly grievances to be redressed. That is the number one criteria. Number two is what? They have a, they come with a begging bowl. That they have a laundry list of bucket list. Sorry, not a laundry list. They have a bucket list, which is like a bottomless pit. That list is endless. So they want that list to be fulfilled. Number three, what are they there for? They want to, when they understand, when they get initiated, the guru is going to suffer for all their karma. So they have a free way, a ticket to go and commit as many more sins and put the guru in trouble. And that is why they need a guru. The guru is not wanted because they have a burning desire to realize their self. No, on the contrary, they want to go in the gutters. That is exactly why they want the guru today in their life. Or they need their material worldly and upkeep to be happening. The guru should make sure they protect them from all their karmas. Whatever the destiny happens, the guru has to save them from that karma. But they'll go keep committing the karma as many times as possible. This is the world we live in. Nobody is serious about God today. Nobody wants that guru. Nobody wants God in their life. God is only there because your insatiable desires can be fulfilled. Your problems can be fulfilled, and you can blame God alone. God, you are doing this to me. You are not giving this to me. You are giving it to somebody else. Very convenient. What kind of a human beings are we? We should be ashamed of ourselves. The Guru Gita also tells us how should one approach the Guru. One should approach the Guru with great humility. Humility, that doesn't even exist. With full and unwavering faith, Shraddha. Faith is very important. Please remember, it is not 99.99% faith. It is 100% faith. To be spiritual is not a joke. Please remember this. Anybody can come into spiritual because everybody comes into spiritual believing that there is something that they are going to get. They are going to experience some miracles. This is what my Krishna Guruji teaches. There is no miracle in spirituality. It is about becoming that divine being. To become that divine being, first you have to overcome your mind, body, senses, ego, arrogance, your tendencies, vasanas, your inherent nature, so many different things. Your Shadripus. All that you have to overcome. And who is the one who's qualified to train you in this? The Guru is the one who can train you in this. But how do you do that? By becoming a clay in his hands, surrendering to the will of the Divine Lord Almighty, surrendering to the will of the Guru. And when you become a clay in the hands of the Guru can mold you. But if you resist, he cannot mold you. He cannot purify you. He cannot give you that knowledge. So you have to evolve. First, become that clay by surrendering unto the lotus feet of your Guru Dev. And most important, humility. Humility doesn't exist at all. We are all very arrogant people. Have you seen the world around today? People bark at each other. There is no goodness there. They just want to bark. They don't know how to speak also. Communication skills is completely gone to dogs. They only want to speak nicely when they know that which side of their bread is buttered. When they know that they have to get something, then they will have all the sweet talks. This is the way we human beings are driven. So we have to change our nature. And how do you change? By getting the right knowledge from the Guru. What is he going to do? He's going to remove your material worldly imperfections and make your spiritual knowledge and understanding firm, and give you and perfect your spiritual knowledge and understanding. So you have to have this guru to make you become the best tool, that paras money. He will be able to replicate himself in you. But for that, you have to put effort. Only when you help, God also can help you. If you don't help, how can God help you? So you have to help the one who is there to help you. So don't revolt, don't object. Become the best tool in the hands of your divine master. So, the Lord concludes that Guru Gita, observing that the importance of my words will truly be appreciated by those noble aspirants who are devoted to the Guru and God in equal measure. What is it saying here? You have to be devoted to the Guru and God in equal measure. Not like you will say, okay, I'm only going to worship the Guru, I'm not going to worship the God. Please remember, your Guru and God has to be worshipped equally. Why? Because Parabrahma, the God is the Guru, the very essence of the Guru. Lord Sri Krishna also has said this. You have to worship the Guru. Think, I am that very self of the Guru. So who are you worshipping? You have to worship the Lord and the Guru equally. There are no difference between your Guru and the God. Because Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. And when Lord Sri Krishna himself is manifesting, you think is there any other God to worship? And when he is your Guru, imagine what a privilege this is. But we human beings don't even value. That's a very sad state. It's a sad state of affairs, how this world is evolving. Unfortunate. The Lord concludes the Guru Gita, observing that the importance of my words will be truly appreciated by those noble aspirants. Who is he talking? Only the noble aspirants. Not everybody is going to get this. So you have to be a noble aspirant who are devoted to the Guru and God in equal measure, and do not differentiate at all between the two. You can't differentiate between the God and the Guru. And when you have this differentiation, then you're going to be in trouble. Your Guru is no lesser than the God and the God is no lesser than the Guru. We're talking about Lord Sri Krishna. We're not talking about anybody here. We're talking about the Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. He is the master of this universe. Lord Dattatreya is none other than Sri Krishna himself. He is the supreme master, and Lord Shivji is the Adi Guru, the first Guru. That is what you need to understand. The truly wise man always dips in the holy waters of Guru Gita, for it cuts at the root of samsara and snaps asunder the ties of bondage. It opens the gates to freedom, to the consciousness and awareness of the reality and the universality of the spirit. See, the spirit is eternal, the spirit is universal. The reality and the universality of the spirit. The spirit is universal. That same divinity rests with everybody. But why does it shine forth only in certain beings? Because that body is the chosen one, that tool which the divine Lord manifests. That is why we can only find that greatness of the God in certain being. And who are these great masters? Take the example of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Ji, Mirabai, Kabir. They're all the sages and the saints. Sai Baba, Tukaram, Ramana Maharishi, Lord Buddha, Jesus Christ. All these people had the divinity. Sri Ram, Sri Krishna. He was the Purna avatar. He came with all his essence and power and everything, and he performed the best leelas. And the world, he gave an understanding to the world who he is. Lord of the Lord. That is who he is, the master of this universe. So you need to understand the truth about who God is. And when you understand, then only you can evolve on that path, not otherwise. It's very difficult to get that bhakti and then doing service. Seva and bhakti are the only two ways of attaining God. The Upanishads have given the 4 sacred Mahavakyas, the grand proclamations for the disciples' sadhana. So let us understand what is the sadhana the disciples have to do. These are Prajnana Brahma, pure consciousness or awareness is Brahman. This is called Guru's Upadesha Vakya. Tattvamasi, that thou art. The goal you are seeking is indeed time, your own self, means your self. You are that self alone. This is called Guru's Adesha Vakya. I, I am Matmam, Brahma. This self of mine is indeed itself the Brahman, the absolute self. This is Abhyasa Vakya. What is it saying? That I am that. Aham Brahmasmi. I am myself the Brahman, the pure consciousness within me. The core of my being is indeed itself the Brahman. This is the Anubhava Vakya. The Guru, from his Anubhava, means from his experience and from his own understanding, from his personal experiences, gives the Upadesha and Adesha Vakyas, which the disciple listens to with full faith and devotion. This is Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan, the three methods of attaining, spiritual weal. But what is that? That is the sadhana you have to do. Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan. It's contemplation, it's meditation, and then going in silence. The disciple then contemplates upon the truth enunciated by the Guru. What is that you have to do? You have to contemplate on the truth which your Guru has imparted. You have to cogitate, contemplate, you have to understand what is the Guru saying. You have to go deeper in that subject, that which he teaches, and whatever that knowledge has to come to you, it will come. Then if you don't understand and there is a question, you have to go back with that question to your Gurudev, and then he clarifies that, and then you keep evolving. This sadhana has to be continued to eternity, till the day you have God realization. And even after that, you have to do your bhakti and seva. That is very important to be carried throughout, rather to eternity. As long as you have your body, you have to do these services if you want to be in spirituality. There are no two ways about it. He does manan over the statements made by the Guru and then takes to Nididhyasan upon the truth with full and implicit faith and devotion. And till the time you don't do this, you cannot evolve on the spirituality. See, these are the methods. What are they? What is he talking about? For the disciples, the grand proclamation for the disciples, sadhana. So what is the importance here? Sadhana. Until you don't do sadhana, you cannot evolve. So sadhana is a very important aspect of your life. It is not just studying the scriptures or listening to satsangs, but most important, this is what you have to do: Shravan, Manan and Nididhyasan. And once you listen, you have to question, what is my Guruji teaching us? What exactly has he imparted? And then we have to go do our homework. One thing that is missing in us is we don't go back and open the scripture once we have studied and shut down. That is why our knowledge is at a baser level. The reason for in the Kali Yuga why this knowledge is not going to be retained is because we are very superfluous. We don't put in our sincere effort. We don't write down. We don't have that habit of writing notes. And even if we write down, we are not even going and looking back. What have we learned? We are not doing our homework at all. So your sadhana is very average. It's below average rather. So what kind of God realization you will have? It's how much effort you put is equal and proportionate to what you will achieve. So there is nothing less, nothing more. So it is your effort that matters. So till you don't put your efforts, nothing is going to come to you. Please remember, this is the spiritual truth. In spirituality, there is no easy way out. And God is never going to give you easily. Because till you don't exert, till you don't put your effort, you cannot realize. And what comes easily will go away easily too. When the disciple's whole mind, so he does manan over the statements made by the Guru and then takes to Nididhyasan upon the truth with full and implicit faith and devotion. When the disciple's whole mind gets gradually focused on the self, the mind melts off and the truth of the self flashes itself in the disciple's awareness. What happens? Self-realization. The self reveals itself. When does this happen? When the disciple's whole mind gets gradually focused on the self. Gradually, after how much? Lot of practice and sadhana. You should do lot of sadhana because your mind is uncontrollable. It is that wild horse running ita. It is not allowing you to focus. And that is why my Guruji says, don't do this gymnastic. What is more important? Just to have implicit faith and devotion. That is what even here Lord Shivji also is mentioning, with full and implicit faith and devotion. But the questioning is very important. Whatever your Guruji is teaching you, that you have to cogitate, that you have to contemplate, and you have to arrive at your own answers. And only then slowly, the self will start revealing itself at its right moment, at the God's appointed timing. When the disciple's whole mind, okay, that we have done, and the truth of the self flashes itself in the disciple's awareness. He also then gains the Anubhava Jnana, like his Guru. What does he get? Anubhava Jnana. Anubhav means an experience. The Jnana is the knowledge, like his Guru. But who is the one who's bestowing that to him? His Guru alone. Because his Guru is Parabrahma. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. So what are you realizing? The God. The Guru himself is that God. And then whatever your Guru had the experience, that Anubhava, the same experience like your Guru, you will be able to get. He exclaims in divine awareness, Aham Brahmasmi or Shivoham. As per the Brahmara Kitaka Nyaya, whereby the ugly looking beetle gets metamorphosed and transfigured into the beautiful Brahmara itself. So also the Jiva, stricken with ignorance and all the afflictions of the worldly life, attains enlightenment and blossoms forth and begins to shine in its Atmic divine splendor, just like his Guru, through Nididhyasana on the Guru and the Guru Upadesha. Oh my God. You know what is being revealed here? It is being revealed here. How do you attain this knowledge? How do you realize God? It's a very profound one. As per the Brahmara Kitaka Nyaya. Nyaya means the rule, the truth of that principle, which we will be studying in the 24 principles Guru of Lord Dattatreya. In that, this will be the last Guru of Lord Dattatreya, whereby the ugly looking beetle is metamorphosed. It goes through the metamorphosis and transfigures into the beautiful Brahmara itself. How does that happen? It happens by, like the way the Jiva, stricken with ignorance and all the afflictions of the worldly life, attains enlightenment and blossoms forth and begins to shine in his Atmic or the divine splendor, just like his Guru. So what are you reflecting every day? When you keep looking at your Guru, when you're only contemplating on him, when you're cogitating on him, you become that Guru. You don't become the Guru, you become like him. You exactly become. What does that mean is, we say the Guru is the Parasmani. So when he touches you with that stone, what happens? You don't become just a stone with that qualities, or you're not turning into gold, but he's creating another Parasmani like him. So you become like your Guru Dev. But to attain that highest wheel, what should you do? Nididhyasana. That is what is important. You have to keep remembering your Guru Dev and his Upadesha. Just like his Guru, through, what is the means here? Nididhyasana on the Guru and the Guru Upadesha. Whose Upadesha it is? Guru's Upadesha. Whatever is imparting to you, on that you have to do Nididhyasana. You have to go in contemplation, meditation, and then comes silence. You have to meditate. You have to just go in silence on your Guru Dev. You have to meditate. Exactly what is he telling you? You have to become one with that Upadesha. You have to become one with that Guru. When you have such kind of highest form of bhakti and devotion, and with absolute faith, implicit faith, then only can you become that. That is the truth. Just like your Guru, you become another Parasmani. That is what your Guru Dev does. For this great and grand attainment, what is great and a grand attainment in one's life? What is the primary and indispensable requisite is implicit faith in the Guru's words and devotion to him. Oh my God, I'm actually exhausted. Because this is a very powerful lesson. This is a lesson for everybody. Those who are, reading this, those who are listening to this, and those who have a guru and those who are seeking guru, for everybody, that one important lesson is to have implicit faith in guru's words and devotion to him. There are no other ways to attaining this highest spiritual wheel. What is he mentioning here? Lord Shivji is imparting this lesson to Parvati. You think this is a joke? This is not. Don't reduce your Gurudev to some ordinary human being. Please understand the truth of who he is. He is the great Lord Almighty, and stop trying to, bring him to your thinking and thought process, to your level. Understand who he is and have that great and goodness in your heart, and have that seva bhavana towards him, and show absolute reverence and humility and respect to this great divine being. What is mentioned here? For this great, why they are saying great and grand attainment in one's life. This is not something ordinary, and this is not everybody's cup of tea, please remember. And this is not a joke either. What is the primary and indispensable requisite? What is he saying? Primary and indispensable requisite. That is the requirement. We need to underline in our life and keep it. Make this as, embed in your forehead or in your heart, whichever is very easy for you to remember. Implicit faith in Guru's words and devotion to him. Implicit faith. The faith is not 99.99%. Even 0.1% of doubt, you cannot attain God realization. Please remember it. Make it very clear in your life. Because this Guru Charitra, we are coming towards the end of this scripture. Everything that it's talking about, Guru Bhakti, Guru Seva, and most important, absolute faith, complete surrender, unconditional pure love and exclusive devotion. And with what? Dispassion, detachment and discrimination. These are the only criteria to attain this grand and great, the grand and the great realization, which is the God realization. And for this great and grand attainment in one's life, what is required is this implicit faith in the words of the Guru and the devotion to him. Without this, you cannot grow anywhere, let me tell you. No matter how much you strive, you get nothing. And please remember, the God and the Guru is never going to give you anything easy. He will give easy to those who are very average, below average. He has his own way of judging. And he'll say, in the material world, people will get easy because they are driven by the destiny and Maya. But when you are under the Chhatra Chaya of your Gurudev, under his wing, under his coverage, at that time, things are not going to come easy. You have to strive yourself hard. You have to wear yourself hard. You have to put your absolute foot forward. The self-effort is a must. Arduous effort, extraordinary effort. Things are not going to be given to you on a platter. Though, when you have the grace of the Guru, what happens? You're always protected. The firewall of his blessing is always around you. There is no calamity that shall befall you, but he is going to test you. Remember, in one chapter, Narasimha Saraswati very nicely explained this lady who lost her husband, and she's brought him to Gangapur. She's brought him to Gangapur. And at that time, she's crying. And what happens? What does Gurunath tell her? Gurunath is saying, see, destiny is inevitable. And that time, then he gives her an understanding. He tests her. In that it is said, the Guru is anyway going to give you the redressal. You're going to get all the blessings. Even if you don't ask, he's going to bestow everything, that which is right for you. He understands you are a fallible human nature who is driven by your desires, insatiable desires. But he will curb it. He's going to give you his grace. He's going to solve your problems. He's going to remove the afflictions. Everything is going to happen. But he's going to always see whether you're going to stand the test of his faith or not. He is going to test you. There is going to be severe test. And when this lady very beautifully goes through the test, and that time what is Gurunath blesses her? He blesses her. I forgot the right word. The right word is where he says, Putra Prapti Rastu, means he's blessing her with children. And everybody is shocked. How is Gurunath blessing her with children? Because her husband is dead. And then he makes her husband come alive. This is the grace of the Gurunath. But what does he do? He tests her to see whether she has faith in him, whether she is able to go through what the Gurunath is saying. But she did. She comes out in flying colors. This is what the Guru is expecting. He's going to see you, whether you can stand his lesson, whether he can stand the test he is going to put you in, and then only bless you with that knowledge, that which is deserving, which you are deserving of, not anything more, not anything less. The spiritual deservability is always tested by your Guru Dev, and that means how much faith you are going to have in his words and devotion to him. He is going to show you Maya endlessly. He is going to do all sorts of things, but it is for you to stand the highest faith, Shraddha and Saburi. Baba says bhakti, faith, devotion and patience is so important on the path of spiritual, and most important, fearlessness, which is why fear when I'm here. When you know that your Gurudev is there, nothing, no calamity can shall befall you. You need to be extremely, having that highest faith in him. And just walk the path, walk the righteous path which your Gurudev is laid down for you. Don't oppose him, don't doubt him. See, this lesson is the most important one in everybody's life. Those who want to be in spiritual, those who are seeking the spiritual path, want to go on the path of spiritual, and those who are seeking the Guru, and those who have the Guru. This lesson applies to everybody, please remember. But especially for those who are on the path of spiritual, it is even more important that they follow this lesson to the T. Especially to those who believe in a Guru. And if you cannot live this lesson, forget about it. Don't even bother. You are not going to go anywhere. There is no use. So you can go back into your material world. Then Guru's grace flows by itself and lifts the sadhaka to the higher and exalted states of consciousness and to the ultimate truth and reality. What is that happens? Then only the Guru's grace flows by itself, on its own. You don't even have to ask for it, and uplifts the sadhaka. One who's a seeker. He's just a sadhaka, please remember. We're not even talking about the primary disciple and devotees of the Gurudev. We're only talking about a sadhaka. If a sadhaka has to put in so much effort, imagine the primary students of the Gurudev, the devotees and the disciples, how much of effort they need to put. What kind of challenges do they have to go through? Just imagine yourself, then you'll understand the truth. Lifts the sadhaka to the higher and exalted states of consciousness and to the ultimate truth and reality, which is God realization. And with this we come to an end of the complete summarization of Guru Gita, which was imparted by Lord Shivji to Parvati. I hope you understand this. I know it's a little dry subject. It's not dry. The only thing that is driving home the point is you need to have absolute faith, complete surrender, unconditional pure love and exclusive devotion unto the lotus feet of your Gurudev. Without Guru Bhakti and Guru Seva, no God realization can happen. And most important, Guru Bhakti and Guru Seva, and also the Bhakti to the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna is a must. Guru and God, both are equal. You cannot love one more or one less. Both has to be equal. That is exactly the truth we realized here. So with this, we end the chapter. Thank you for joining the Guru Charitra Satsang. Thus ends the 49th chapter of Shri Guru Charitra. Glory to the All-Merciful and the Omnipresent and the Ever-Responsive Guru Nath. Tomorrow, we will not be having the satsang due to certain challenges that I have. So we will continue the satsang on Wednesday morning. Thank you once again. Wishing you a very happy Monday. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha. Om Shri Gurudev Datta. Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Digambara Digambara Shripad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Guru Nathanatha Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru.